New research suggests there's 36 potential intelligent civilizations out there. This is a Talkin Science Story of the Week. I'm Matt Miller. You're on Trekzone.
With the latest science and space news 5 days a week across Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts and YouTube. This is Talkin Science with Dr. Brad Tucker and Matt Miller.
And first up, I think I knew this all along. Many sci-fi fans knew this all along. Communicating intelligent civilizations. Apparently a new study has found that there could be 36 of them. Seems a bit small, Brad.
Yeah, look, 42, man. It was just short-sighted. They should have just gone. They should have just rounded up. And look, yes. and 36 isn't. It's a given. That's the best number they arrive at with the various factors and assumptions they make. It could be anywhere from 0 to about 920. And essentially, what this is an updated study of the Drake equations. The Drake equation was as famous and done back in the 60s by Frank Drake, one of the pioneers of SETI, which essentially said, how common may intelligent, communicable life be in our Milky Way? And it was really the first attempt just to show that it is worthwhile thinking and looking and searching for these things because the number is non-zero. And what this group did is kind of updated it both with numbers where we have pretty good handles of, but the key aspect of that was where we don't, essentially applying a model of human evolution and Earth evolution to say, all right, well, we know at least humans have evolved on Earth, Earth has evolved. What would that look like with all the other parameters we know? And that's the number they arrived at.
The interesting thing I find with this one is that even the researchers are surprised at the number that they've arrived at. Being so small, it's not 0, which I think would be quite a long shot to say that there is no one else aside from, well, it can't be 0 because we're one.
They're only solely talking about, other people. But that's right. We do know at least happened here. And this is always one of the juxtapositions when we're talking about, again, intelligent life. We're going to separate microbes and stuff like that for a bit, is that we at least know one planet it happened. And so the question is, are we unique? Are we the statistical fluke? Are we just the outlier? Or is it just this random set of conditions that does happen, but it just doesn't happen that long? And there's so many things that feed into it. Everything has to go right to be perfect. It's kind of the view, and it's a little bit being, well, it's always how humans treated us, and that is very biased and arrogant, in that, we are the pinnacle of evolution and the top of the tree and that sort of thing. And so if we assume we are the best or it worked out completely perfect, then maybe it doesn't happen that often. But you often have to spin it. Well, we probably aren't perfect. Maybe we aren't perfect. Maybe there's a lot of better ways. So maybe then that number changes quite a lot. So it's a very interesting, as much a scientific debate as almost a philosophical debate.
And the average distance between these potential civilizations could be up to 17,000 light years. So that's quite a distance apart.
Yeah, when you arrive at 36 and how big the Milky Way is, about 100,000 light years in diameter, 100,000 light years across. This is the point that, maybe there are just some, but there's not that many, and on average, they're not that close, because if it is 17,000 light years away, it takes 17,000 years for a signal to arrive from Earth onto that planet, and then 17,000 years for that planet to reply to Earth. And that would explain maybe a bit why we just don't really contact them, because space is so big that even by the time the signal would arrive, life has changed, evolved, move on, doesn't happen, or the timing of the civilizations doesn't overlap, right? You think about if there was a civilization 17,000 years ago that was broadcasting to Earth, we wouldn't have that technology. When you're talking about billions of years, the difference of 10,000 years is negligible almost in those calculations, but very big in the practicalities of being able to actually have the technology at the right time to communicate.
And putting this into a little bit of context, Earth has only been beaming out transmissions into the galaxy for about the last 100 years, and that's not just radio telescopes and stuff like that. That's our satellite communications and all those sorts of things. So when we're talking this 17,000 light years to get there, 17,000 light years to come back, 34,000 light years. That's quite a long time, especially when, like I say, we've only been doing this for 100 years.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I always usually use 150 years because maybe telegraphs and that sort of thing. But that's right. It's such a small time, a small fraction that if they are 17,000 years, they will. It literally won't be until the year 18,000 on Earth AD that they see from. And think about life 17,000 years ago on Earth, human life. This is pre-Egyptian time, a lot of those, early dynasties that we call ancient. You're talking about a very different civilization or species on this planet.
And the concerning thing might be, I think it was Jodie Foster's Contact, where the transmission back from the aliens was what we first sent out into the universe, which was Hitler opening the 1934 Olympic Games, I think it was.
That's right, yeah, where they use it as the show that was the first, television broadcast. Look, if they could pick something up, it would probably be one of the first radio tests or radio broadcasts, because those signals would go out. But that's right, that's a good point. What we send, that is the representative of it, and that's a big deal.
Well, Brad, this story of the week is matching with our other stories of the week to produce Talkin Science every week here at Australia's unofficial home of Star Trek. We're now more than Star Trek, of course, with Babylon 5 and the Orville as well. This has been fun. Talkin Science stories of the week continue tomorrow. Brad, thanks for being here.
Thanks.